Malaysia, a country with much to see and plenty to marvel at. Tallest in the world, the Petronas Towers in the capital Kuala Lumpur leave visitors gaping. It's also a land of pristine beauty with high mountains and tropical rainforests, some of which are more than 2 million years old. Off the west coast of the Malaysian mainland lies the small island of Pangkor. The origins of its name aren't clear, but it's believed to be a mix of Pang, which means beautiful in Thai, and Kor, which means island in Malay. The small island often feels the brunt of the stormy winds coming in for the Indian Ocean. Life comes to a total standstill. But once calm returns, it's business as usual. Pangkor is home to the oriental pied hornbill, one of the few places in the world where it's still possible to see this magnificent bird out in the wild. A far more common sight is the gull, out looking for scraps or fishing boats. The long-tailed macaque is one of the denizens of the jungle covering the island. Called kera in the local dialect, this monkey makes its way around the island using the cables and wires as a convenient highway. But perhaps the most fascinating are the water monitor lizards, sometimes going up to 2 meters in length. The island also boasts the king cobra, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. People from all over Asia and other parts of the world flock to this island in the middle of the Indian Ocean as it gears up for the day-long National Geographic Action Asia Challenge. After a traditional greeting, the athletes take a ferry ride and catch their first glimpse of Pangkor.
Is that Pangkor Island, you know? Is it?
And it truly is a breathtaking sight.
Splendid. You know, it's good jungle, very visible, wonderful surf, sunshine, beaches, probably good trails, probably missing a few canyons and waterfalls, but we'll do without them this time.
The next day, the competitors have eyes for nothing except the course and the things they're to collect on their way around the island.
I'm not too nervous, so that's good, because we haven't found our bike yet. In half an hour we have to start, but I'm calm. I'm just waiting here.
Look left, the bike's so old. This is the first time I'm doing it, you know. Ironman's with no problem, but this is it's a different ball game.
The golf course at the Pan Pacific Resort is the start of the race, after which the athletes make their way along the western coast. They turn off near the airport and finally emerge at a coconut grove. The start of the race is chaotic as all 62 teams try to get an early edge. The first portion of the event is the biathlon, with 2 members of the team running and 1 on the bicycle. Along the 4-kilometre stretch, the team members will alternate cycling duties at designated spots, with all 3 cycling part of the route. Once the bikers hit the tarmac, they slip into top gear and the struggle for the lead starts in earnest. At this early stage of the race, even the runners are fresh and raring to go. The lead bikers, in the meantime, have left the runners far behind and make their way between the sea and the deserted sepak takraw court. But wait a minute, what is sepak takraw? Sepak takraw is Malaysia's game to the world, a combination of soccer and acrobatics. It's thrilling to watch. Its name comes from the Malay word for kick and the Thai word for ball. The server, or tekong, must start the game with 1 foot in the circle at the back of the court. He's joined by a feeder and killer near the centre of the court. The opposition can be anywhere on the court. Aside side can touch the ball only 3 times before passing it back over the net. The game of sepak takraw traces its roots back to the 14th century, but even today young men in Malaysia chant 1, 2, 3 as they urge on their favourites. Back on the race, Malaysian team Sight Forum put on an early burst of speed on the road, trying to make time before hitting the dirt road near the airport. There are only 4 all-women teams, but they're certainly giving the men a run for their money. The lead biker from Team Fear is the first to turn off the tarmac and onto the dirt road skirting the airstrip. Veterans of the Action Asia Challenge, Team Fear have high hopes this time around. Dane Claus Pedersen of Team 19, Ford No Boundaries, takes the dirt track in his stride. But the first of the disasters on the course begins as speed turns to skid. Speed isn't the problem here, as the ruts along the track force others to dismount. Some teams lose precious time early in the race as confusions prevail during the biathlon.
We had some miscommunication early on. We dropped the bike and realized only after 1.5 kilometers that none of us had picked it up. We lost a total of 3 kilometers retrieving it.
A little less than half an hour on the dirt and the athletes are back on the main road that circles the island. An experienced triathlete, Daniel Brown, is from a team to watch in Pangkor, Ford No Boundaries. The 30-year-old from Britain is a dedicated triathlete, but after years of road work, likes events that take him off the beaten track a bit. At Swiss, Fred spends his spare time running, biking and swimming, but he also plays squash, roller hockey and even paraglides. A keen road biker, Klaus now concentrates on sea kayaking after a serious accident in 2000.
Slush? Mud?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so, yeah. Yeah, we heard that a hurricane's coming in later on this morning, which should decimate the weaker members of the field.
At this stage, the field looks pretty strong, with all the runners vying for the top spot. While on the trail, athletes also have to take out time for the scavenge hunt. This is where they have to search the land and water for material, which includes a rubber plant, coconut husk, seashells, and even garbage.
I mean, part of a rubber throw. Do I look like a botanist to you? Of course not. Mambung plant. Look, mambung plant. I've never even heard of it. A mystery plant? I don't know what that is. 1 seashell?
Smooth changeover of bikes is essential for success in the biathlon and demands a degree of alertness from all members of a team. Even though they're an experienced team, there are slight mixed signals between the bush babies.
The biathlon's a little bit boring, the strategy and how we're going to deal with it. I hope they don't miss my bike and we have to come all the way back and get it. Still, that's the way it is.
But they finally managed to get coordinated. Four kilometres of running, biking, scavenging and about half an hour on the trail, the leaders reached the first transition point, the Coconut Grove. It's Team New Balance in first at the Grove, followed by the Masters, Team Ironman. Asia Non-Stop bring up third place. Lee Elizabeth Yeo and Pusey from Team New Balance are the first at the Coconut Grove, and these veterans of the Mile 7 outdoor quest rush to hit the bottle. The balmy breezes and constant sunshine on the island are ideal for vacationers, but for the athletes they could be daunting opponents. Hours of cycling, climbing, running and rowing can make for hard labour and steady dehydration.
think we've got something like 3,000 bottles of water on the course. So hopefully we won't have any problems with people getting dehydrated.
The seasoned racers lose no opportunity to tank up and dunk themselves all along the course.
Really hot, but unfortunately you have really good water here, so you can drink a lot of this.
Even though it's added weight, it's welcome as the water bags on their backs come in handy in fighting off the tropical humidity.
We drink more than 1 liter per hour, and we have hydration bags. So for us, we are pretty used to this.
Even though Team New Balance was first at the Grove, they're a bit slow in getting out of the Grove and are quickly overtaken by Team 57 Ironman. Bush babies are also coming up fast. The husband-wife duo, Jeremy and Barbara, are ahead of teammate Richard. All members of a team must leave the Grove together, and this leads to some complaints.
Yeah, we're waiting 40 minutes and we're fed up for it. If he's not dead, we're going to drown him.
There are many more tales of woe at the Coconut Grove.
I've just had a wee-wee by the tree here and been bitten by very large ants.
Are we having fun yet?
Some goodie bags for the scavenger hunt have got plants in them as the athletes leave the undergrowth behind and hit the road. After the Coconut Grove, the mountain biking segment starts as the teams have to bike along the beachfront to the next transition point, a Chinese school. Speed is of the essence in this portion of the race, which spans 5 kilometres. After taking the lead from Team New Balance out of the Grove, Team Ironman now speed effortlessly on the mountain roads.
All the teams are very strong, I think, but we are quite strong in running and mountain biking. And, yeah, and I suppose that we are acclimatized to this weather here.
Winners of the Thailand edition of the race last year and of the Masters section in Taiwan, Ironman looks strong in the lead. The course becomes more challenging as the inclines force the bikers to a more leisurely pace. And it's here that the stronger teams begin to get an edge over the others. Teamwork is of the essence, and most competitors get by with a little help from their friends. Just short of reaching the school, the Site Forum team edge out the strong Asia non-stop, but back at the transition point, it's the Ironmen who've laid down their bikes and run off onto the jungle trail. With barely seconds separating them, they're followed by New Balance and then Ford No Boundaries. Among the institutions dotting the island is the Sekolah Harapan, or the School of Hope. Apart from regular classes, the curriculum includes some unusual activities, Chinese drums being one of them. Though the drums are authentic ones used for the lion dance in China, the beats the children are playing have been created by Malaysian Chinese. In self-defense class, they learn the graceful silat, where every part of the body is used as a weapon. The students also learn to defend themselves and use the keris, a traditional Malay weapon, and the parang, or sword. Some of these children certainly seem to have the makings of adventure racers as they scale plexiglass mountains. Even though these are make-believe, it's definitely not a walk in the park. Leaving the youngsters behind, we're back with the pros, and it's Team New Balance going strong in second place. The contestants have hardly veered off the main roads till now, but the trail after the school will plunge them into jungle that covers much of Pangkor Island. By now, all eyes are also on the bush babies. Jezza, as he's called, is a distinguished sailor. He ran a challenge last year with a dislocated shoulder, showing a lot of grit. Wife and longtime partner Barbara ran the same race while 4 months pregnant. She's a good mountain runner. Mountain climber and all-round sportsman Tricky has successful ascents to his credit.
I think our team has got a lot of endurance, but we're also fairly fast, so we hope to do fairly well in this.
While most racers tend to set a cracking pace, they're forced to notice the flora and fauna in a race like this.
We thought the scavenger hunt was a neat way to tie in sort of an educational process into the race, because athletes will have to look for various fruits and plants along the way, and in the process educate themselves about the different vegetation on this island.
Having dropped their cycles at the school, the teams make their way into the jungle and over a suspension bridge before doubling back to continue with the on-road biking. Competing in the Masters category, the Ironmen belied their age by completing the 2-kilometre run ahead of the pack. There was a battle on for second place though, and the Sight Forum men were neck and neck with Team Ford No Boundaries coming out of the school. Their route takes them past a row of satay factories, the island's all-consuming occupation. Just offshore, it's a common sight to see a dog sitting guard on a floating platform with not a human in sight. He's actually keeping an eye on the host of fish drying in the sun. This is the first step in Pangkor's most famous export product, satay as the islanders call it. The fish then move indoors where they're flattened and rolled out and dipped in a paste, which is a mix of chili, salt, sugar and baking soda. After being neatly arranged on a rack, they're steamed for 40 minutes. A quick weighing and sealing, and they're ready to be packed off to the stores. Having left the satay factories behind, the leaders make their way to the Chinese temple, with Team Ironman keeping a grip on the lead. 40 seconds behind are Team Sight Forum, with Team Ford No Boundaries on their heels. On getting out of the Chinese school, bikers make their way up mountain roads and through a bit of the town before landing at the next transition point, the Chinese temple. A majority of the people on the Pangkor island are Chinese, who came to the island as mine workers in the mid-19th century. Today, a major portion of the seafood business, boat building and trawler fleets are operated by the Chinese. The Fuling Kong Temple is a testimony to the Chinese presence on the island. It's built at the foot of a small hill with a rock at the top, long considered lucky. A miniature Great Wall of China stays as a poignant reminder of the home country for most of the worshippers. The temple was shifted several meters from its original position after a devotee had a dream about it. By the time these pilgrims reach the temple, they've completed 15 kilometers of the race and been on the move for almost an hour. 54-year-old Ironman Boo, as he's affectionately called, is the first to reach the lucky rock at the top of the hill. After a slight pause for breath, the engineer from Thailand starts his descent. Hot on his heels comes Team Ford No Boundaries. Team Asia Non-Stop come into the temple in 5th place, making up time as they go along in the race. At this point, good starters, Team New Balance are 4th, and Elizabeth kisses the rock, hoping for a little more luck ahead. Showing the first signs of slowing down, Team Ironman reached their bikes first, but the nimble Sight Forum team matched them step for step. Making their presence felt are Fitness First's Angels, one of only 4 all-women teams. 28-year-old Michelle is a PhD in sports psychology and studies the phenomena of athlete burnout. She also lectures at Hong Kong University. A student of international business, Bridget is a talented athlete who loves salsa dancing. Laura is the most experienced athlete on the team, with her own business as a personal trainer in Hong Kong. Out of the temple, Ironman are pushed to 2nd place by the steadily improving Team 14, Sight Forum. While the leaders breathe fire in the town, others make their way out of the temple complex, cheered by the enthusiastic onlookers. The route of the race takes the athletes through the heart of the town, while the accommodating islanders clear the roads for them. Lee Elizabeth of New Balance is towed by her teammates as she begins to tire. In endurance races, it's often combined effort that gives some teams an edge over others. Asia Non-Stop certainly believe that.
We always say that there's nothing that really stands out among any of us. We're pretty all-rounders, all 3 of us, and I think the thing that holds us really well together is friendship and great knowledge of each other.
Out of the temple, the mountain biking continues for another 3 kilometres till the beach at Batu Jambul, where the athletes get their first dip in the Indian Ocean. Even though fishing and seafood have long been the mainstay of the island, the water is now put to different use. The tourist trade and, by extension, water sport are gaining in popularity as Pangkor's reputation as a tropical paradise spreads. There's more than enough to do for any adrenaline junkie. You can get up in the air or get out on the waves. Puteri Dewi Beach is at the heart of this activity. According to legend, it was named after a princess who jumped off the rocks nearby when her lover failed to return from battle. Today, hordes of people also take to the ocean, but for vastly different reasons. Back on the beach at Batu Jambul, Team Sight Forum are getting ready to get wet. Mohammed Fatsil Muhi is one of the leading Malaysian kayakers. 19-year-old Eugene is one of the top triathletes in the country, as well as a very good swimmer. He's still a student and enjoys getting out on the trail. Captain Rezani bin Hussein is an experienced adventure racer, having taken part in the Mile 7 outdoor quest twice. As the middle-order teams come into the beach, the forerunners, Team Sight Forum, make their way to the rocks offshore, passing skeletons of old fishing boats along the way. Team Ford No Boundaries gives them hot pursuit. their first contact with the beach, some teams stop to add seashells to their scavenger hunt list. After the straight running and biking sections, this part of the race tests the athletes' adventure skills. They wade out to the rocks, clamber over some nets, and make their way back to shore. In keeping with Pangkor's reputation as a hub of pirating activity in years gone by, the competitors also walk the plank.
We've just managed to lose all the rubbish that we've collected, so we don't know what to do. Sam, you want your chocolate, darling?
This early in the day, the tide is at an ebb, giving the forerunners an edge over the stragglers. While the rest of the teams wade out, Team Site Forum move head and shoulders ahead of the pack. Nursing an old shoulder injury, Klaus Pedersen of Team Ford No Boundaries makes his way through weather-beaten split rocks in pursuit of the leaders. And for others, a cool dip seems to have revived flagging spirits. Team Fitness First Angels are competing for the first time, but the combination certainly seems to work for them. Their way back to the tarmac takes the athletes through the backyards of the kampongs, or homes of the easygoing Malays. The Malays on the island bring their own flavour to Pangkor. Largely Muslim, they fish in smaller boats called sampans and follow their own customs. Here a Malay couple get married to the strains of the nasyid, the contemporary religious song. The third community, interwoven between the Chinese and Malays, are the Indian traders and trawlermen. The Kali Aman temple on Pangkor is one of only two in Malaysia which has a shrine to goddess Kali, fishing in the sea. The pealing bells at the time of arti, or evening prayer, can be heard across the sea. From the oceans to the mountains, this race has it all. And next comes Mount Pangkor, a challenge of endurance and stamina in itself. The strain is evident at this stage of the race, and injuries begin to make an appearance. Team Bush Babies are expected to come into their own on the uphill climb, as Barbara set a course record at the Lantau Mountain Marathon in Hong Kong earlier in the year. The steep slopes of Mount Pangkor leave most of the athletes winded. Team New Balance Tropical has words of encouragement for Team Centaur as they struggle up the mountain.
Badan tunduk.
Go down left.
Use the roots, steps. This is hell. Real hell.
The strugglers on the mountain are all headed back to the coconut grove, where a unique challenge faces them. There's one basic question in front of the competitors.
How do you get one person to the top of the tree?
Well, the first step is to tighten your seatbelt and try to stay undaunted when looking up at the treetop.
But we'll have one person checking that the harness is done up correctly and adjusted properly.
A teammate's shoulder is a handy stepping stone.
And another safety aspect is we've got these carabiners that are self-locking. So as soon as you open them up and let them go, clip them in, they twist lock and you can't open them.
And then hang on for the ride while the teammates do the hard labour. Of course, a little slip of the rope can mean a long trip back to Earth.
Clip this into the rope, and that grabs the rope and it won't let it go. Got all these little sharp teeth here that grab the rope. It's called a Juma.
Team endorphin junkies certainly get high on the tree.
We like pushing ourselves hard, getting high on endorphins, you know. It's something like adrenaline. So yeah, this gives us a lot of enjoyment in the sport. There is a lot of motivation, and at the end of the day, even we're all busted and you know, totally whacked out, we feel good.
Coming off the mountain, it's the Malaysian team Sight Forum in front by a full 5 minutes. They're followed by Asia Non-Stop in second. On their heels are Ford No Boundaries. Mohammed Fatzil, captain of Team Sight Forum, barely has needed the protective harness as he effortlessly clambers up the coconut tree. Daniel Brown also sounds the horn for Team Ford No Boundaries. The coconut tree climb is a unique event in the Malaysian edition of the National Geographic Action Asia Challenge, and one that tests the competitors' ability to think technically and work as a team. Fitness First's angels make quick work of the climb to the top of the tree. But the bush babies use the time to strategise about the race ahead. Back on the mountain, we let the fatigued stragglers halt for a while at the watering point. On Mount Pangkor, the steep slopes make even the most careful athletes lose their footing. The virgin forests on Pangkor are proving a handful even for the seasoned climbers, and negotiating a fallen log becomes a challenge in itself. And just when it looks like the descent has started, a nightmare. A second incline looms large. Captain of the Extremers, Terence Liu, is an experienced speed climber, but the descent is a bit too fast, even for him. Down on level ground, and there are smiles all around from those who've come out of the forest alive. While the tail-enders make their way to the coconut grove, the leaders are on their way out. Once out of the grove, the athletes hit the water, raft around a buoy, and then kayak to Coral Island. A quick rock scramble, and then it's kayaking back to the finish. Race leaders Team Sight Forum are the first to get the raft into the water, but seem to be having some trouble keeping it there. They could do with some lessons from the locals. One of the prime occupations for this island community is boat building, a task which could take from 6 months to a year, depending on the cost and urgency. Simply constructing the body of the boat can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Once the hull of the boat is done, the engines and propeller are installed and the top deck is built over them. The arrival of modern tools has made the work of the builders much easier. Built of the hard chingwa wood brought in from the Malaysian mainland, these boats can ply the waters for more than 30 years if handled well. Talking about handling boats, the leaders finally learn to handle their raft well and manoeuvre it around the buoy, heading back for the beach. While Team Ford No Boundaries put their raft on the water, Asia Non-Stop pick up the pace and hurry onto the beach. The raft is the downfall of Team Ford No Boundaries, and Asia Non-Stop get out ahead of them in second place. Site Forum are back at the beach and now enter phase 2. They drop the raft, pick up kayaks and head out for Coral Island. The beach at Tilok Niaf is also where the penalties for the scavenger hunt are decided. In keeping with the spirit of the event, the racers are supposed to take note of their surroundings and collect bits of plants, seashells and even trash.
Alright, that's all. Good job! What about your paddle, Scott?
By now the Site Forum trio are at Coral Island and in the process have established a lead of more than 5 minutes over their closest rivals. They leave their kayaks and tackle the rocks on the island. While the kayaks are still a familiar mode of transport, the rafts made of rubber tubing and bamboo are proving a bit of a handful for most.
It was tough. The waves out there today are not very clean, and so there's a lot of current, and it was like a washing machine.
Getting into the raft before getting into the water seems to work for some teams. Team Asia Non-Stop make quick work of the rocks at Coral Island and get back into the raft at second place. Team Ford No Boundaries are in third. Still turbulent from a storm the day before, the ocean makes tough work for the kayakers. Meanwhile, Mohammed Fatzil of the leading team is in trouble as he lags way behind his teammates on the water. It's here that Asia Non-Stop perceive an advantage and double their efforts to shorten the gap. Further back, some rafters realise that it's easier to carry the raft rather than be carried by it. Many swim their way around the buoy, their rafts in tow. Coordinated Push and Asia Non-Stop are out in front. Team member Nicholas is the lone rafter and strong on the water. He soon leaves Fatsil behind. Four-time champions Asia Non-Stop are now on the home stretch to victory. And for the 5th consecutive time, Asia Non-Stop crossed the tape at the finish line first.
We thought most of the teams were slightly overpacing, and we thought that we had a tactical advantage on kayaking, so we slowed down on the first half of the run, picked up the pace at the end of the run, and then put all on at the kayak, and it worked.
Yeah. Good strategy.
A case of so near and yet so far for Team Site Forum, who are still pleased with their result. A creditable performance for a new team.
Actually, we lost out on the kayak because this is the first time we tried that incredible kayak. We never tried it before. It's our first experience in the kayak, so we lost the kayak. It's because the wave today is terrible.
The waves get higher and the 2-kilometre stretch to shore takes its toll. It isn't over even after washing up on shore, as the competitors have to make their way to the finish line in giant slippers. It's teamwork right to the end. Bush Babies emerge winners in the mixed teams category, and true to their name, they go straight to their offspring. Fitness First's Angels walk away with the honours in the women's section. It's been an experience they're keen to repeat.
It was quite tough actually from start to finish. There was not one easy bit there, but we worked brilliantly as a team and we just kept moving forward. It was fantastic, really good fun.
Ironman are the Masters champions. In the course of the afternoon, the sea becomes a churning mass, but these adventure enthusiasts still come out smiling. The girls from Team Citizen put up a good show, despite falls and injuries along the way.
As we go walking along the beach, right, in the sand, right.
Win or lose, all those who finished the race know they've faced up to a challenge and emerged victorious at the end of the day. A look at the final standings, and Team Ford No Boundaries come in 4th, surely a disappointment for the strong team. Bush Babies are 5th and Team New Balance a creditable 6th. After all that work, it's time to play, and sore muscles didn't affect the high spirits. While some rock their babies, others sway with bicycle seats. Before we go, let's take a look at the lighter moments of a heavy day. you in Hong Kong for the next edition of the National Geographic Action Asia Challenge.